Supporting is really no joke. It really is not, and in today's video I want to be giving the 5 key tenets of supporting so you guys can genuinely improve, because when I'm talking to a lot of support players, they play the victim card, like they have to wait for their carries to come online. It's like their knight in shining armor. But if you genuinely want to improve and actually carry your games to support, you have to follow these 5 tenets so that you can actually improve and get to the immortal bracket as a support. Your team does not deserve your support. But holy crap, do they need it? At GameLeap.com, we have hundreds of guides teaching you how the best support players in Dota secretly carry their games with awful teammates without them even knowing it. Start your climb through ranked as the hero of your team today by hitting the discount link to our special offer in the description down below. So before I start the video, I just want to mention these are not in particular order. However, I will give my opinion on what I think is particularly important. So the first point is positioning. Why is positioning the most important part of supporting? Well, I constantly hear the excuse, well, I died, but it's okay because they committed this spell. Or, it's fine, why would they go on me? Why would they go on you as a support? Why would they go on you? Because you're easy to kill and you provide control. It's the logical maneuver. If you hear yourself making that excuse, or you're believing that, that's the first step. And that's why this point is positioning. Positioning is going to change that. I recently have been coaching a particular player who's been playing Shaman. And what I've noticed is, just based off his better positioning, he's winning games. Why? Because the key tenet of supporting, if there's one I would choose, it is positioning. And I know I said I'm not listing it, but the reason why this is important is it fixes that mindset issue of, hey, I'm dying, but it's okay. And you have to understand, why are they going for you? Well, as I said earlier, you're easy to kill, and so if you're not easy to kill because you stand in the back and you actually hide in vision and don't overcommit and cast your spells at max range, you quickly become a nuisance to the enemy team, and you can even make them waste spells like Chrono to kill you just because of your positioning. It genuinely can change a fight. And now I want to put this in perspective. Let's say you're playing Lion and you get off your spells. A lot of players will simply run in and continue to right click, or say that my job is done. They'll run in, they'll get their finger off and die. And they'll be like, yes, I did my job in that fight. Why didn't we win? Well, I would ask you the question, well, if you have a 12-second impel and a 12-second hex, why in the world do you think it's okay to not try to wait for those next 12 seconds? So what I'm going to be recommending is exactly this. Always play around your cores when you're fighting. And what I mean by that is, if your core is in front, you should be at least 200 range behind them. So if you have like a 200 range spell, I don't know, like level 1 Shackles on Shaman, something like that, like Shackles range, without Aether Lens or the cast range talent, you need to be staying at least that far behind your carries in fights and really try to play the back line. And you might be like, well, what if I'm undying? This has no application. Of course, it depends on your hero and it depends on your positioning, but 90% of supports really do want to stay in the back and be getting rounds of spells off. So stop auto-attacking and get your multiple spells off so you can genuinely have effective impact in the fights and stall out the impact of the enemy carries and initiators. So the next point I want to talk about is trading. Trading is one of those things where I think people believe they understand what it means, but if you really analyze high MMR supporting, or if you just watch pros, you'll quickly come to realize that the way they trade is very efficient, right? They'll use vision, they'll use egg clicking, they'll consistently use their spells, pre-eating tangos. All of these things really add up, right? If you're playing a hero like CM, for instance, and you're not using Crystal Nova in between auto attacks to harass your enemies, slow them, and amplify the amount of auto attacks your lane is getting in total, you're not going to win the lane. Especially if you increase in MMR using other tactics, eventually you'll get to the point where you will simply get bullied out of the lane due to your incapability to trade properly. So the first thing I would do, and the first thing I would start with, is regen management. You simply eat tangos every single time you're going to trade. Even if you're full HP, eat a tango, trade. The second half, in that case, is using vision, right? If you were playing support and you were trading, you should not just stand in the open and hit people. That's how you get double teamed by the dual lanes. That's how you just take inefficient trades in general. And if you combine these two things together, the regen management and vision, and auto-teching people right coming out of vision, you will begin to win trades. That's like the main thing I can give anyone. And not only this, you can literally apply this to even the mid-game. There's scenarios where, as a support player, I see support simply hold spells even in the mid-game. Even if you're trading, like let's say it's a 4v4 in the mid lane, that happens sometimes in pubs, cast your spells. Like, get them off cooldown, get your nukes out. As long as it doesn't make you overcommit and out of position, like a Crystal Nova on CM, the same example, it's high range, just put it out there. Get that damage going, get that cooldown going. That's why when you're trading, you should be casting your spells at max range, which goes back to positioning, but in general, I'm going to end it there and move on to the next topic. Okay, if there's one thing that gets me frustrated about supports, it's their inability to buy defensive items. I've been talking to a few of my support students, and I've gotten the same responses from a lot of them. Glimmercape has changed Dota. It just changes the game. It is broken. The item is legitimately broken in solo queue. People don't buy Dust. Initiators typically overextend, meaning it becomes more effective as they'll go outside of sentry range, which is typically what supports have, and it allows you to split push as well as get your spells off. It helps with positioning, it helps with trading, it keeps your teammates alive, it makes everyone happy. The item is close to 1800 gold. It's like, how could you not buy it? It's broken. And I know I'm speaking about only one item, so how does this only have to do with itemization? But there's other items too that I see people overbuying. Mana Boots. It's a plague. Like, Mana Boots is literally plague solo queue. You have to understand that this item costs 900 gold, and it doesn't give you any better positioning, it doesn't give you any survivability, and it doesn't even necessarily make you be able to farm or like fight more often, because a Clarity, which is 50 gold, can do the same thing. And you could have a Clarity, a Magic Wand, and like 2 components of bracers for the same exact price, or even almost a full bracer for the same price. And that is effectively like 400 HP, right? Why? How is that 400 HP? Well, the bracer and the wand can give you, what is it, around like 200 HP or so, and then with the magic resistance as well as 20 charges, it's way more than that. Do you think 400 HP can change a fight? Yes! And not only that, Magic Wand baits people in. You don't know how many fights I see support players turn with Magic Wand. It's why everyone basically buys it in the high MMR brackets. You know, not always, obviously, but these items are broken and they're not being purchased. Instead, I'm seeing greedy builds like Aetherland rushes on heroes that don't even need it. So what I'm recommending is that you are buying small items, Windlace, Stick, Wand, Bracers, Smokes. Smokes break Dota. If you call Smokes, even if you have no clue what you're doing, literally no idea, this is your 3rd game of Dota, you're just hopping in, you don't even know where Roche is yet. If you just tell your team go smoke to Roche, you will be the best player in the world with 3 games, and I guarantee it, as long as the game's at least like past 20 to 25 minutes. Otherwise, your team might just all die to Roche, and you'll actually potentially be the worst player with 3 games in the world. But yeah, basically what I'm recommending is look up what the pros buy. They will show you exactly what you need to buy. Sentries, small items, there's a big bracer and wand trend going on right now, things like 4 staffs. It changes the game of Dota for supports. Next up on the list, just because I really want to go more in depth about this topic, I did mention it in items, but it's Smokes. I know I just mentioned this, and I talked about how you become the best 3-game player, but I mean it. Like, I mean it, guys. If you're not sure how to actually not get carried or essentially have to rely on your carry, Smokes are the way. They are the only way you get to dictate the game as a support. Because if you're not, why would anyone follow the hero with like 200 net worth? And you could be like, well, because I have this set up. Sure, that could be a fair argument, but frankly, people don't do that. Why? Because they want to farm. So what you do instead is you click this purple smoke item on them, and it instinctually makes every single Dota player run and make a play. All you have to do is draw a line on the map, tell them who exactly you're looking for, assuming you know you're making your smoke call based off someone you saw or a tower that you want to take. You make the game very clear for your team, and you dictate the pace. I recently played a Timbersaw game for my Randoming the 6K series, and I genuinely wish I recorded the live in-game, like, of me talking and calling smokes, and it's something I want to expand upon in the future, because as a support player, I played a lot of 5 to gain MMR, because I understood it was a role where I felt like I could have impact and keep the PMA up. I called smokes over and over again. Literally, relentlessly, I called smokes. I would smoke for mid ganks 2 minutes in. If I was in a tri lane, I would smoke for Roshan, smoke for towers, for wards, doesn't matter. The item's broken. It's broken. So yeah, if you're confused on what you need to do and you feel like your mechanics are good, you're like a high MMR player, let's say you're like Ancient Divine, and you're genuinely confused on what to do next for supporting, I mean, obviously you're probably not perfect. No one's perfect. There's not a single player that doesn't make mistakes. But smokes are like a really good thing to look into if you're genuinely confused on what you need to improve upon, or you just have some super high ego that tells you that you already got items, trading, and positioning down. That's a good place to start. And last, but certainly not least, the key function of the support in almost everyone's mind, and that is warding. So Recently, I was watching No-Tail's video when he was playing Shaman. If you haven't seen it, it's on his YouTube channel. His videos are absolutely fantastic when he posts them. They're not too frequent, but I highly recommend you check them out. So much value over there. And when I was watching his video, I noticed he made this very interesting point where he would consistently click on his opponents to check for their wards, right? Because if he wanted to go for a D ward, he doesn't just guess. I see a lot of players guessing, and sometimes he would. Of course, he's not a god. He can't see everything, but very often he would see the opponent, I believe is an Undying, carrying around wards, and he'd recheck, right? He'd be like, okay, the Undying has 2 wards. The Undying would go out of vision, and the Undying would come back into vision, and he's like, huh, the Undying only has 1 now. So there is a ward in this general vicinity. That is high IQ stuff right there. And I mean it, like, the warding game is a big portion of Dota, especially high MMR Dota. Something I've been teaching a lot of people lately is the importance of vision in team fights. And so, yeah, like, you dictate this. I've had a lot of even Ancient Divine players now understand that when a fight breaks out, you have to get down vision. That's your first priority as a support. Throw down a ward literally anywhere when a fight breaks out, because your team needs to see who's coming. The better and better players that you get on your teams, the more they'll be looking at the minimap when they're fighting. So you want to provide that vision so that they can see the key initiator, the void coming in from the back, the shaker approaching, the bat rider looking for the lasso. No matter who it is, your wards can have a crazy impact on the game. Not only that, they can dictate everything else on the list, besides, I guess, items, you know. It is just an item. But they dictate your smokes, right? Often, high MMR players have such an emphasis on wards, right? They literally will sit on a ward and protect it. This 50 gold item is protected like it's Roshan. I'm not kidding. That is how important it is. So what I recommend is you start learning how to ward for purpose, right? If your team wants to play for the top tier 2, or you want to make a call to go there, you ward the top tier 2 and you get your team to smoke towards it, right? Or if you want to play for Roshan, set up some wards before you go Roshan. In the laning stage, if you feel like you need to watch out for someone who's going to contest your pulls, ward for that purpose. For runes, let's say if a Storm Spirit, get it down a rune ward for him. There's endless possibilities. So hopefully you guys have a better idea of what you can do to actually improve as a support. These are the 5 main topics you should really be thinking about. If you're either watching replays or you're just dead or in the strategy phase, it doesn't matter. Just start considering, what am I actually doing wrong? Did I die out of position? Are my items holding me back? Is this trade consistently inefficient? Am I eating tangos? Am I calling smokes? Are my wards getting dewarded? And am I guessing on my dewards? Start asking yourself the useful questions and you'll genuinely get better. If you stop playing the victim and hear me out on this one, you're gonna go up in MMR really quickly. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe to help the channel grow. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Do you want to carry your games but always find yourself stuck in the support role? On GameLeap.com, we have the tools you need to take control of your games as a Pause 4 and Pause 5. With hundreds of guides covering hero specifics and key concepts like ganking and lane control, GameLeap is the place to unlock your potential as a support player. Hit the link on screen right now to take advantage of our special offer for a 25% discount.